Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. I first came across these bizarre looking ancient statuettes in the British Museum. Terracotta figurines with a slender human body, sometimes with a suckling child, sometimes holding a staff or sceptre, and sometimes with their hands on their navel. But they all had this bizarre reptilian elongated head. These figurines generally date to the 5th millennium BC, created by the Ubaid culture of Mesopotamia, and, of course, they have been put forward as evidence for ancient aliens. Their distinctive coffee bean eyes and elongated heads is why they are often referred to as lizard people. Bitumen was also used to show their hair a crown or headdress, and the decoration we see on the various examples may represent tattoos or jewellery. They are visually captivating, nobody can deny that. I remember staring into a display cabinet for a long time, taking in the details and taking photographs, but when I went to research what these statuettes actually were, I remember having to wade through so many ancient alien theories before actually finding something historical and helpful. Of course, there are no written sources from the Ubaid period, which is one of the reasons why such statuettes are so open to interpretation. But many people have failed to really try and understand the time period they came from, the context in which they were discovered, the broader knowledge of the Ubaid culture, and they just say it looks alien. So, to be thorough, let's take a closer look. First of all, we need to find good quality sources away from internet chat rooms, and so I went to a publication called Beyond the Ubaid, a collection of papers on the Ubaid culture collated by Robert Carter and Graham Phillip in 2006. This 400-page publication is available online for free, and I've linked it below. In one paper by Gil J. Stein, the statues are classified as Ophidian terracotta figurines, which have been found in many ancient Mesopotamian cities including Uruk and Eridu. Ophidian literally means like a snake in the shape of a snake, and as well as the elongated head, pointed nose and coffee bean eyes being snake-like, some of the figurines are painted dots on the torso which have been identified as scale-like. That's really where the Ophidian terminology comes from, and it's actually nothing to do with context or anything else. It's just from how they look. In truth, although they do have a reptilian look, we don't know with any certainty if that is what the ancient people were trying to portray. The best source I can find is a paper in the mentioned book called A Snake in the Grass, Reassessing the Ever-Intriguing Ophidian Figurines, written by Ureli Dems of Ghent University in Belgium. The first Ophidian figurine was discovered in the 1920s in Eridu, and even though more than 100 years have passed, information on their possible meaning, function and use is still largely missing. They truly are an ancient mystery. They are found in southern Mesopotamia. Some are female, some are male, while some appear to be sexless. They're between 5 and 10 centimetres in height. Figurines from northern Mesopotamia are generally seated or plump women, whilst the ones in the south are more slender. The heads are elongated, and some think that this is portraying a crown or hair, but others believe it's showing cranial deformation from head binding. And we know that the Ubaid culture did bind heads, and skulls and skeletal remains have been discovered. The faces, as we can see, are out of proportion, and the features don't look human, with the eyes and nose overemphasised. Shoulders are sometimes rounded and sometimes angular. Chests are generally flat, unless of course it's a female figurine, the waist tapers and the legs are long. The form of the bodies likely indicates youth or young adults. At the base the feet are small and rounded, meaning the statuettes did not stand up. The figurines have clear similarities to ones found in central Mesopotamia, and these figurines are earlier, and are found at sites like Tel Songor, Chogamami and Tel Es-Sawan. These come from the late Neolithic Samarra period between 5500 and 4800 BC. These earlier figurines have elongated heads, coffee bean eyes, flat and refined torsos, but are often seated and not standing. It's therefore possible that the root of the Ophidian figurines is further north in central Mesopotamia, showing that people likely migrated south in the late 6th millennium or early 5th millennium BC. But as well as looking at the morphology of the statuettes to try and understand them, we have to understand their context. For example, where specifically they were found. But as you'll find out in a minute, this isn't that easy. The specific locations of the vast majority of statuettes were never recorded. Some were found loose in the soil, merely surface finds and out of context. Some of them had been reused by later cultures, sometimes as tempering for large mud bricks for ziggurats. Some fragments have been found close to Ubaid temples or shrines, and some fragments were found in a domestic context, such as inside the home. The Ubaid layers are not in the best state of preservation, and that's because of their age and the many cultures who came later and occupied the same space. But we do find some clues in the ancient city of In this city, some figurines were found inside an ancient house, alongside domestic and utilitarian artifacts like pottery grinders, sickles, sinkers and whirls, showing that it is possible they could have been household objects. Of the 49 Ubaid graves in this city, 6 were accompanied by one figurine, and one grave had 2. The burial statuettes were also finer in terms of quality compared to the ones found in a domestic setting. It's important to note that in all Ubaid graves, pottery was placed at the feet of the individual, indicating that ceramics were important to the Ubaid people in life and the afterlife. But whether the dead had a figurine with them or not, it didn't actually change their style of burial. For example, the dead person with a figurine does not seem to be more important than one without. It's also important to note that the burials containing figurines are all late in the Ubaid period, meaning it wasn't an early practice to bury someone with a figurine. All in all, and weighing up the evidence, it seems that statuettes had a role in life, and maybe in a domestic setting, as well as at temples and shrines, and then also in death by being included in a handful of graves, but only in the later phases of the period. There is also evidence that some Ophidian figurines were fashioned, used and also discarded inside a settlement, and so many were never intended to be grave goods. They were not children's toys as some speculate, as they were never found in a child's grave, and experts don't believe they are effigies of the deceased because they are all strikingly similar. Effigies tend to have more unique features. Because they are almost all identical, they point towards having the same meaning, representing something specific. Maybe they were made and given to people as a status symbol, maybe they were simply awards given out like trophies, and then displayed in the home, maybe on reaching a certain age or social status. Maybe they are images of a deity, used in the home to protect it. Maybe they were even used to protect the home from snakes. It's possible they were created by a certain social group, whether priests, teachers, shamans and so on. May be given to people after some ancient ritual or passing a level of initiation or religious rite. Maybe they were given to someone if they achieved a specific psychedelic experience, and these Ophidian beings are what people saw in an altered state of consciousness, through the use of natural hallucinogens. It really is a subject open to discussion. Some speculate that the figurines placed alongside burials were done so because these were the graves of shamans, and these statuettes were in fact their personal items. This is why the ones buried were finer quality, because they were the personal statue of a shaman, and so being buried with the shaman means they couldn't be misused by anyone else after their death. In conclusion, and as archaeologists admit, we don't have a great deal of information to go on. These Ophidian statuettes are a true ancient mystery because of poor archaeological preservation and the lack of context for the majority that have been discovered. The Ubaid culture had no writing, and so we are piecing together scraps of information to try and understand them. But just because these humanoid figurines have strange faces, doesn't imply they were real reptilian alien beings walking amongst the Ubaid people, or even reptilian gods they worshipped. Yes, they could be some kind of snake god, but the features could have been exaggerated for a number of reasons. Maybe they were in fact idealistic depictions of an elite class with bound elongated heads, and maybe the eyes were emphasised in such a way to say the elite were always watching over the masses, and that's why they were kept inside the home. Some argue they were statuettes of gods or an elite class, and were simply given a snake association to show they were cunning, intelligent, wise and shrewd, as well as someone to be feared. The figurines could also be depicting humans wearing a mask of some kind, maybe worn on special occasions or during ceremonies. We know that masks have been found in ancient Neolithic Turkey and Israel, as well as masks and headdresses in ancient Mesolithic Britain. Many cultures around the world have used a mask in certain ceremonies. The slender, maybe perfect body of the figurines may well indicate youth, and they almost look like a modern day Academy Award, so maybe they were given out as some kind of trophy. Possibly when people reached a certain age, when passing from one physical stage to another. Or maybe they'd achieved wisdom and enlightenment through some kind of spiritual or psychedelic experience. Reptilian humanoid statues, statuettes, paintings and reliefs are found around the world, spanning many different cultures and a large amount of time. Maybe there is a link from culture to culture, but unless each example is looked at in their own specific context, I don't think simply how something looks is enough to make a useful link. Yes, it's a good starting point, but more work has to be done. The interpretation of the Ophidian statuettes is completely open to debate, amongst scholars and armchair historians like me. I'd love to know your thoughts, so please do leave a comment below. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.